Greetings, hello, and welcome to this video where we are going to be looking at TCG Player and eBay. I sell on both platforms. I've been doing it for a little bit now, so I'm going to go through the cons, the pros of each platform, and to look at specifically which cards I target to sell on each platform. I made a presentation inspired by the one and only Danny Phantom. He makes these awesome presentations. I do this for work all the time. And I thought I'd go ahead and make a presentation, make this like a professional looking thing. So it took me a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but this question has come up from quite a few of you awesome viewers. So I appreciate the questions. If you have other questions you want me to make additional videos about at any time, I'm more than happy to do that. But without further ado, let's get into the content of this video. Let me establish a little bit of credibility with you fine people, if I may, just for a moment. So TCG Player, I've been selling on there for a little bit over a year, and in the last 365 days, I've sold 226 items with 100% positive ratings. eBay, I've been doing it a little bit longer. I think I got on eBay maybe when I was like 13 years old. I don't know when exactly I started selling, but I've sold 2.8 thousand items throughout the lifetime of my eBay illustrious career, and I maintain a 100% positive feedback rating on that website as well. So I utilize both websites. I'm a little bit newer to TCG Player, but I can certainly see the merits and the drawbacks to each one, and that is the content that I'm going to share with you all right now. Fees right up front. How much money is TCG Player and eBay going to take from your hard-earned work and the dollars that you should have in your pocket? So for TCG Player, their fees are 12.75% plus 30 cents per order. That's a flat thing. It doesn't matter if you're selling a 1-cent card or a $500 card. Every time you make a sell on TCG Player, they're going to grab 30 cents plus 12.75% of the total value of that transaction. Now, it does go down if you subscribe to their pro membership. I don't. I've just got the basic storefront. I'm a level 4 seller, so I can set my own shipping prices and things like that, which I haven't even messed with that. I keep it really, really simple on TCG Player, but that's the fees on TCG Player. Very similar looking things on eBay, and if you didn't know, eBay owns TCG Player now. They acquired them about a year ago, so they're underneath the same company. So their fee structure should be pretty similar, but actually it is a little bit different. I looked up this information today. I thought it was a flat kind of 13% across the board on each one, and that's kind of the range, the ballpark. But for eBay, their fees are 13.25%, so an extra half a percentage point more compared to TCG Player, and they still have that 30 cents per order. So fees are a thing. We've got to have them. A lot of people like to sell on Facebook and Twitter and places like that and do claim sales, and I think those places certainly have their merit as well. I don't sell on there because I don't really have much of a social media presence, but probably there's no time like today to start selling on those platforms and building that up if you want to avoid the fee structures of FeeBay and TC Fee Player. Does that make sense? T Fee Player. T Fee Player. There we go. That works. So what cards do I sell? TCG Player. It's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry on TCG Player. I am selling trainer cards. These are 3 of the most recent cards that I have sold on there. The reason that I target trainer cards specifically is that they're pretty cheap and it takes almost no effort to list a card on TCG Player. You look up the card, you type in counter catcher, you find the card that you've got, you mark what you want to sell it for, how many quantity you have, and then it's in your inventory and it's ready to sell. You don't have to mess with taking pictures and doing all of these different things, which you don't really want to do for a card that's only going to sell for 20 to 30 cents. Typically, my threshold for what I think is worth my time is about 30 cents. If a card is selling for 30 cents or more, then I will list it. If it's selling for less than that, I just put that trainer card right in my bulk and I just hang on to it. Sometimes these trainer cards go in and out of fashion because of their playability. So I've got all of my trainer cards pulled out of my bulk and they're in a separate container marked by set, and that way whenever somebody like Danny is like, hey, these bulk cards are selling for buku bucks, I don't have to go through all of my bulk. I can just look at, for example, Paradox Rift, and I can look at all the trainers and I can pull out all of the counter catchers because they are now valuable cards and I can list them very quickly on TCG Player. One of the things that I do whenever a new set comes out is I'll usually open up 6 booster boxes. That's kind of my limit, I guess, sort of, at least out of the gate. That's my limit, and I do the same thing. I pull all the trainer cards out, and I list most of the trainer cards on TCG Player that are already playable and that are already selling for good money. You know, there was a couple of cards in Paradox Rift that were selling for $1 or more per card during that kind of opening weekend. So if you can get all of those listed as soon as possible whenever a set comes out, players are really wanting to test those things out, and they're wanting to see what's viable in the meta, then that's a good thing. And speaking of which, I recently got into playing TCG Live, and I'm loving it. I don't know why, but it finally kind of set in with me how the game works and how much fun it can be. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of great YouTubers out there that are making content about decks that you can use, but that had an unintended positive consequence of that. Now I know which trainer cards are being utilized in the meta because I play the game and I see them in people's hands. And then whenever I'm opening up a pack of cards now, I'm like, ooh, I know that people are using Pokestop all the time now. It's in a lot of different decks. So instead of just throwing all those Pokestops away, I pull them out, and that Pokestop's going for over $1 right now. So if you have any interest at all in learning a fun game that will also make you money, it really does, because I learn all the time which trainer cards are in the meta, which ones are doing well, and which ones I can potentially sell in the future for profits. How do I ship? This is something that I've made a video on. It's my most popular video on YouTube by far is my process for listing and selling cards on eBay. It's a simple process. These are all of the things that you need in order to maintain 100% feedback and to make your buyers very happy. I can't tell you the number of times that I've bought cards on TCG Player on eBay, and they've shipped them. They've put Scotch tape all over them. Just yesterday, I got an order in from somebody that put heavy-duty clear shipping tape over the top of the top loader, and it was so difficult to get just the card, the top loaders open in order to retrieve the card out of there. It's a miracle that I didn't damage it, and it was just a frustrating experience. So these are not expensive items, and it's really, really easy to ship cards this way. I would definitely say it takes way more effort to put tape on something compared to buying a team bag. So any kind of penny sleeve, you know, these are the ones that I like to use. I like to buy them in bulk on eBay. I can get 500 of them for around $7 shipped, and if you buy more, you save more. So they're very inexpensive. They're not quite penny sleeves, but they're not much more expensive than about a penny each. So really negligible cost there to make your buyers happy. Used to be a big top loader guy, but for the size of envelopes that I use, and just the, I don't know, I feel like the Card Saver ones provide maybe a little bit better protection, and they fit really, really well also in my Vault X card holder sleeves. Again, Card Saver ones, I buy those on eBay, get them in bulk. They are not expensive. I can't remember pricing right offhand, but I bought, I think, a case of like 1,000, maybe for $50. So they're very, very inexpensive, especially if you can buy them in bulk. Don't quote me on that pricing because that was off the top of the head, and math is not my strong suit. But yeah, the Vault X card holder sleeves, the Card Saver ones fit great in there. Top loaders fit in there just fine, but I've just found that I really like to use Card Saver ones. They're a little bit less expensive. They're a little bit more flexible, and so whenever they're going through those shipping machines, I think that there's probably less of a likelihood of them getting kind of caught up in there. And then with the Card Saver ones, because they are a little bit thinner, you can fit more cards in a single plain white envelope. Usually I can ship up to 8 cards in a plain white envelope with one stamp. And I do penny sleeve each one individually, and then they won't fit inside of the top loader, but if you just put those 8 cards right on top of the top loader and put all of that in a team bag, everything is perfectly protected. Again, thousands of orders that I've shipped this way. Knock on wood, I have never had one that has arrived to a customer destroyed, dented, dinged. Nobody's ever had any complaints to me about my shipping process at all. So to do that, do that. And buy all these things in bulk if you're going to be selling a lot on these platforms. Plain white envelopes, I get those at Sam's Club. They're very inexpensive. I get the ones with the little peel-off strips, so I don't have to worry about licking envelopes. And then I also buy my stamps in bulk as well. You can get forever stamps on eBay. The last time I bought them, I got 3 rolls, and each stamp only wound up costing me about 30 cents each. So be careful about that. There are counterfeits out there. You want to make sure that you're buying from a reputable seller, but if they have good feedback, it is a money-back guarantee. So I was willing to roll the dice, and so far I've made 2 or 3 different bulk stamp orders, and it saves me big time. Because I think a forever stamp right now is like 60, 65 cents, maybe 70 cents. So I'm saving at least half every single time I ship out a card on TCG Player just by doing that. And so that really helps to cover the cost of all the other materials, which I don't know, like I don't think it's a premium. I think it should be an expected experience as a buyer. It should be expected that I'm going to get my card individually sleeved. I'm going to get it in a plastic protection of some kind. I'm going to get it in a team bag. There's not going to be any tape or anything like that on it. Some people may argue with me. That's fine, but I think my feedback kind of speaks for itself. So I'm gonna stand on that mountaintop, and I'm gonna say that is the way. How do I get paid for TCG Player? This is honestly one of the things that I really like about TCG Player. Is that I decided to go ahead and get paid via store credit. You can put in your credit card information, your tax information, and all that, and they will wire you money into your bank account if you want. But I like the store credit option because that makes it kind of a self-contained system where my hobby is funding my hobby. And so whenever I open up a new set like Paradox Rift and I sell all those trainer cards, I can then complete my master set by selling off those trainer cards that I don't use because I don't play the game in real life. I live in a really rural area, and I don't have a store around me that plays Pokemon. Sad. I wish I did. So I don't really have a need personally for those physical trainer cards. But I can sell them, and I can get any of the secret rares and the rainbows and whatever else that I need to complete my master set. I have not used my own money to buy a card on TCG Player since I started selling on there. I continually sell on there. I maintain a healthy store credit balance. I wait 2 or 3 months after a set releases to whenever I think the prices are at the rock bottom point, and then I scoop up all the cards that I had not opened yet in my master set. And so far I've got master sets of all of the Scarlet and Violet sets, and I haven't had to pay anything extra out of pocket outside of the 6 booster boxes that I start with in each set. So I love that I'm not tempted, because if that money was to hit my bank account, it would go to any number of things. So I like that it's kind of a closed loop system where my hobby is funding my hobby. I think that's a really good thing for me personally for TCG Player. eBay. Let's talk about eBay. These are the 4 most recent cards that I've sold on eBay. This is one of the big benefits of eBay is that you can take pictures. So, I mean, you can do that on TCG Player as well. It's just that most people don't do that, and so it's not really expected. So what kind of cards do I sell? 9.9 times out of 10, a card is going to go for more on eBay. I do a lot of comparison and checking and seeing which platform I'm going to get more money on. It makes sense to list a card on one platform or the other if I'm going to make more money on it. So for any of the cards on eBay, I'm probably going to be making more money on it. It takes more time, takes a little bit more effort. There's more buyers, so it's a little bit more competitive. So you wind up seeing cards listed at higher prices. So I do like the stamped promos. A lot of times TCG Player doesn't have the listings for those right out of the gate and updated. So that's one that I usually see really good pricing on that. I do like to a lot of times buy a kit of build and battle boxes. So 10 boxes, which is, you can usually find that for about $150. And then each one of the promos, like in Paradox Rift's case, you're going to get 10 promos. And those were selling, I sold them from anywhere from $5 to $7 per card. So at the bare minimum, you're getting $50 back off of that $150 price. And there's 4 packs in each one. So 4 times 10 is 40 packs. 40 packs for $100, you know, it's almost like a booster box, I guess, at that point. But I sell those pre-release promos. I also like to sell lots of cards, which is not something that you can do on TCG Player. TCG Player, you can sell a single card, and multiple copies of it, of course, but you can lot up as much as you want. So I've got kind of two examples of that down here where a playset is something that could be very attractive to a Pokemon player, especially, again, that opening weekend. I was selling the Counter Catchers, a playset of those, for $8 right out of the gate from opening weekend, which was, I think, double the amount of what they were selling on TCG Player, because there just wasn't that many people doing it. So don't all of you go and steal all my secrets and do all these things, but I don't think it's a big secret. I don't think it's a big secret at all. So I'm happy to help folks out. But yeah, like lots like this, you know, if you open up a box and you don't want the jumbo card, or in my case, a lot of times I'll get cases, that way I can get discounts on these cards. You know, I don't need 6 copies of Zapdos EX, either the standard or the jumbo. So I'll lot it up and I'll just throw it all on there in one listing. Again, that goes back to the 30 cents per transaction. If we're on TCG Player, Electabuzz would cost me 30 cents to sell. Zapdos would cost me 30 cents to sell. The jumbo would cost me 30 cents to sell if they were done in different orders. By grouping them up right here, I'm only going to pay a 30 cents fee on top of the transaction fee. So, you know, the 12.75%, I think it is, on eBay, plus the 30 cents for all 3 of these cards, plus the code card. So it's a nice way to kind of lot things up and get rid of bulkier kinds of sets like this. Probably the main thing that I sell, though, is more expensive cards. The more expensive cards, again, it goes back to cards are going to go for more on eBay versus TCG Player. So a card like Iron Valiant, I sold this for $69.99, I believe, about 2 weeks ago, whenever it was kind of at its peak after LAIC and the whole tournament went down, and Iron Valiant had a good showing there, and it was kind of at its height. I wound up, it's kind of funny, I bought one off eBay for $50 right after that tournament because I wanted it for my master set, and I knew it was going to go up, so I bought it for 50 bucks. Came in the mail, and then I opened up one of my Build and Battle boxes that I got, and I pulled the card. So I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to sell it now. And to my surprise and delight, it was going for $20 more than I paid for it on eBay a week prior. So this is the one that I pulled and that I sold there on eBay. And that's generally kind of the cards that I'm looking at. You know, pre-release, stamped promos, play sets, more expensive cards, and then anything that I can kind of bulk up and lot up there. How do I ship? It's the same shipping process as TCG Player for orders of $19.99 or less, and that's a very important qualifier. And the reason that it's an important qualifier is that, by the way, you probably could tell, but I'm in the United States. I'm in Kansas, so this is like our shipping methods and things that are available to us. But for $19.99 or less on eBay, you can use what is called standard envelope shipping. So for a single card valued $19.99 or less, you can ship that for 67 cents. Currently, it's December 2023. Those rates always go up. Whenever I started doing this, it was 60 cents a piece, so it's gone up quite a bit in about a year. 67 cents for a 1 ounce envelope card, single card. That's only going to cost you 67 cents, and the benefit of that is that you're going to get tracking information. Now, standard envelope shipping is not always 100% accurate, but you do get delivery confirmation, and this has helped me out tremendously a couple of different times where a buyer has claimed that they didn't receive the card, but the delivery was confirmed, and so eBay wound up siding with me even when the buyer opened up a case. So, you know, for cards that are pretty much like that $5 to $20 range, that for me is kind of the sweet spot for eBay, where, you know, I'm paying a little bit more in shipping, 67 cents versus my 30-cent stamp, but I get that peace of mind for a more expensive card, $5 to $20. I don't have to worry about the buyer claiming that they never received it. I had an instance where I ordered the Magikarp's illustration rare from Paldea Evolved, I believe it was, and $50 card, and the person shipped it in just a plain white envelope with a stamp. Now, who's to say? Like, I could have said, hey, I never received this card. They don't have any proof of that. TCG Player recommends for any card $15 or above that you ship it via first class. That way you get delivery confirmation. But as of right now, you can't do standard envelope shipping on TCG Player. So especially for those cards that are a little bit more valuable, Again, for me, $5 to $20 or even higher. I like to go eBay for that peace of mind that I get with standard envelope shipping. You can use standard envelope shipping up to 3 ounces. It's a little bit more expensive. I think it's like $1.18 or something like that currently for a 3 ounce rate. So even if you had to ship 15, 20 cards at $1, that's quite a bit less expensive, and you get the tracking information as well. Another little note about the tracking information, sometimes they'll get false positives. It happens probably, I don't know, once every couple of weeks a buyer will reach out and they'll say, hey, it was marked as delivered, but I didn't get it. And my response, I've got it copied now so I can just paste it in there because it happens pretty frequently, is with the standard envelope shipping, a lot of times whenever it gets to its destination, which would be the final post office, that's when it gets scanned and it gets marked as delivered. And every single time that this has happened, I say just give it a couple of days. If it hasn't shown up in a couple of days, let me know. They wait a couple of days, and usually the very next day after that delivery confirmation happens, the card winds up showing up at their house because it goes from the post office where it's confirmed as delivered, and then the mail carrier winds up taking it on the last leg. And mail carriers don't scan those standard envelopes, so there's no actual delivery confirmation right when it gets right to where your buyer is. So kind of an important note to throw out there. Now, for orders of $20 or more, standard envelope shipping is not an option. As soon as your card goes for $20 or more, you don't have the option to ship it via standard envelope shipping. So in this case, I'm doing the same penny sleeve, Card Saver 1, Vault X card holder sleeve, but I'm going to throw it in a tiny box. Some people use a bubble mailer. I just don't feel like that offers enough protection, and really like a tiny box like this, it shouldn't weigh over 4 ounces with your card inside. And 4 ounces is kind of like the minimum threshold for shipping an item as cheap as possible. Used to be called first class. It's now called ground advantage or something like that. So it's the same thing. It's just USPS's cheapest shipping rate that is available with tracking. And this tracking is active tracking, so it won't be marked as delivered until it's at the front door or mailbox of your buyer. And again, I like to use the smaller boxes. I've never bought any smaller boxes. I buy enough cards that I've just kind of got these things lying around, but like any kind of small box will do. You know, like throw some bubble wrap around your Card Saver 1 and your Vault X sleeve, bubble wrap it, put it in the box. You're going to be golden. Nothing is going to happen to that card. It's going to be safe and sound. And again, your buyer is going to appreciate you very much so. So in conclusion, TCG Player versus eBay, which is the better platform? I think that both absolutely have their merits. I use each one of them daily. It is not uncommon for me to have multiple orders on both platforms, and I think each one is serving their purposes very well for me. So that kind of wraps up the video. If you have any questions about this or anything that I didn't cover, please leave those in the comments below. Appreciate you watching. Would appreciate your liking and your commenting and your subscribing so we can continue to grow this channel and see where it goes from here. So that's it. Happy Pokemoning, everybody. Ta-ta.